Hey guys, today I am making my probably longest ranking video where I'm ranking 56 tracks for one racing game. That's right, one racing game. This game is known as Mario Kart PC. It's a game that I really like to play in class because it's not banned on school computers because it's not that popular. And judging by that logic, this not gonna get that many views, but I like the game, and if I like the game and it's a racing game I could beat, and there's a reasonable way to play all the tracks, then yeah, I'll make a ranking for it. So anyways, if you're expecting more in-depth explanations like my other videos, I'm not going to be doing that today because since there's 56 tracks, I'm going to be describing them a little more akin to Schaefer's Productions, where I'm going to give them a short overview, a couple of notable parts that I find about them, instead of going into a full overview about the track design. Because if I do that about this video will end up being like 3 hours long, and yeah, I don't think anybody will want to listen to a 3 hour long video about a fan game made by a British person in 2010. Well, anyways, entering the F tier in the little find a better track at all costs. Yeah, I think this is my first video with an F tier. Correct me if I'm wrong, but these three tracks are some of the worst tracks of all time out of any racing game I've played. Now there is a couple that are worse. Some examples that pop up are Peach Stadium in Mario Kart World, and Bowser Castle 2 from Super Mario Kart, and Choco Island 2 from the remake of it in Mario Kart DS, which is ironic because they're both in this tier. But anyways, in last place we have Bowser Castle 2 SNES. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna notice is it's extremely more thin than the original. It's because the person who made this game probably didn't even play Super Mario Kart, judging by how he messed up some of the track layouts and made them thinner. And these Bowser Castle tracks are an example of that, because in the original these are walls, but instead you could just drive up them. So this is essentially a Rainbow Road. All the Bowser Castle tracks get turned closer to a Rainbow Road than how they were in the original. And there's this this is one of the worst tracks in the series, and even though it does have better controls than the original Super Mario Kart, so it's not as bad, it's pretty bad because he made it thinner and removed the walls, which is the worst thing he could have done here. He also kept the dead end. I mean, of course you're gonna keep the dead end. It's a key part of the original, but still, it's a dead end. And there isn't even a feather to pass it, so there's no reason to have it there. Like, you can't... my dumbass tried doing it there. You can't. So, yeah. And then, oh my god, remember in my other videos, my CTR ranking videos, when I was talking about Polar Pass, and while I was talking about Malibu in my Mickey Speedway USA video? Yeah, these are the Bowser Castle 2 boxes I was talking about. This back-to-back section where there's no clear way to go, and there's like, why would you go left and why would you go right, then left, then right again? What is the point of that? I know I stole that from Schaefer's, but you get the point. It's horrible track design. It's made even worse by the fact that it's thin. Like, the Bowser Castle 2 boxes, most of the time, are surrounded by walls. But it's even worse if it's surrounded by just holes, like lava. Now, don't get me wrong, it could work if you do grass, but most of the time it doesn't. And that's why these boxes, unless you do it in a good way, like Delfino Square did, then yeah, there's no real. Then these two boxes are just Yeah, it's a clear example of bad track design where one of the alternate paths is just no point to exist. So, anyways, we're one of the worst tracks of any racing game I've covered, and the only reason, and even worse than Malibu and Banshee Boardwalk. That's pretty dang bad. Okay, can't play this file. Okay, never mind. Well, since there isn't a file for this for some reason, because I recorded these all off my Chromebook, because there's no real gameplay footage of it on YouTube. So I'll just talk about it on here. So this is DS Rainbow Road, the second to last worst track in the game. It's extremely thin. If you want to go into Mario Kart PC and play it, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's the final track in the game. It's extremely thin. Like two racers, maybe two racers can fit next to each other on it. That's how thin it is. And this is how thin it is in the original. Like 8 people. Like I'm pretty sure you could fit 5 people next to each other on this. And then the turns are really they're wide and looping. But since it's a 2D racing game, they removed the loops. So they just removed the most noble part of the track and then freaked up the track design. It's essentially a Toad circuit if it was extremely hard. Like the track design isn't even that interesting. It's just thin and it's a figure 8. A figure 8. Like some of the fact that the final track in the game is just a thin figure 8 is so weird. And they put boost pads next to those turns that are really hard. And it's just like there is flat out no reason to play this track. Unless you want like an extreme challenge, then yeah, don't play this track. That's all I could say. So the file can load for the next one. Choco Island 2. I talked about this earlier. Yeah, so this track is usually messed up with the bumps and the huge pile of, well, you know what, in the middle of the track. And the off-road in this track is really punishing. Something you really notice in the original, but don't notice much here, because you could go off-roading a little easier in Super Mario Kart. But you see this big patch of dirt? In the original, it just makes your cart slip a little bit. But in this version, it's treated as grass. So you have to squeeze through these tiny sections right here. And the most annoying part of it is in Grand Prix mode, the CPU perfectly fit in there. Perfectly fit in there while you're trying to get past in, well, whatever place you're in. And this track is really short. A symptom of most of the tracks in the game, since they're shorter than they are in the original. They're 3-lap tracks, and they're thinner and shorter than they are in the original. It's especially noticeable on SNES Rainbow Road, but I'll talk about that later. And these ramps, they could send you out the track so easily. And the forgettable music just makes it even worse. These ramps that send you out the track, see, right there. Yeah, it's not great, and this thin section right here is not helping. Like, that's thinner than DS Rainbow Road, and yeah, it's an issue that this game has, because a lot of this games are too thin. But we're finally out of the F tier, finishing out the first section and the first recording of the video. Anyways, I don't know. Anyways, next part, in D tier we got dang bad. God, I had no other ideas for this, so in the last place of D tier we got Donut Plains 3. Well, it is pretty plain. at least most of it. Yeah, this suffers from thin road syndrome, and yeah, it's not that bad. It is pretty bad, especially on that beginning kink, but it gets worse later. And then there's this bridge. You have to hop over it. Hop over this. You have to hop over it. You have to hop over off-road. This is the only track in the game where hop is manual. I mean, you don't fall into the water like the original, but you still, like, go off-road. If you take a mushroom, then you're going to just fly into the wall in the rest of the off-road. And then there's this section, which is, realistically, you could only fit one racer in this section right here, which is not great. Not great. And then you finally get out of here. You take this chicane, and then it's back out. It's short. It's plain at certain points, and it's frustrating at others. That's why it's this low. Anyways, Donut Plains 2. This is the only Donut Plains track without a bridge, but still has lakes, because, I mean, that's a key part of Donut Plains' identity, I guess? I don't know. And it's not as bad, because it doesn't have that bridge, but still. First of all, these two straights are boring. Really boring. Then you could skip this one turn by mushrooming over the lake. Then you take this turn, and then it kind of looks like Among Us. I know it's outdated, but I got it from somebody else, so I don't remember the name of him, but it's the guy who's doing one useless fact about every Mario Kart track. Is that guy? If you know what I'm talking about, then tell me. But yeah, it's boring, and also suffers from thin track syndrome, as almost every Super Mario Kart track in the game. Koopa Beach 2. Koopa Beach 2 really relies on how good driving over water feels like in your game. Super Mario Kart, pretty good. Mario Kart World, pretty good. Mario Kart DS, pretty bad. In this game, pretty bad. Because it's smaller than the original, and there's these puddles that are deeper than the others. If you try to boost over it, yeah, you're realistically gonna fall in one of the puddles. And the water controls in this game are terrible. Like you turn, like you slide. It's almost like ice, how it feels on the water. Like you slide so much side to side if you just barely tap the left or right keys. And that's what makes this track pretty bad. And the rest of it is just a thin circle with off-road on both sides. A couple of chicanes, but it's not great. It's just not great. Oh boy, Luigi's Mansion. This is like Choco Island if it was slightly better and had better theming. Yeah, also there's technically two mansions, since there's a mansion right here and then there's the mansion in the background. Just had to mention that. So first off, it has a lot of off-road and thin sections, just like Choco Island 2. Then there's the Now, it doesn't have the cool theming and like tables and such, but still. Then there's a wavy path. That's also from Choco Island 2. Chicanes, round chicanes. Those are also from Choco Island 2. You're seeing a pattern here. It doesn't have that tree. That tree is the most is one of the most annoying obstacles out of any really like any track in the game. And then, oh boy, it wouldn't be like Choco Island 2 if there wasn't the big pile of dirt in the middle. Yeah, this was decent in DS, but now because there is no like slippery mud option, unlike in Super Mario Kart and Mario Kart DS. Yeah, this is horrible. Yeah, you're just going so slow, and there isn't even... Now, the CPUs can't just take a thin route on the outside, leaving you behind, so it does make it a bit better, but still, forcibly going in off-road is still not good, especially since you can't drift on it, making it even worse. Well, once you're finally done with that, you go back to the finish on this thin straight. Not bad, but it's not good. It's actually pretty bad, but it's better than Chocolate Island 2. That's one thing for sure, because there's not annoying bumps. Anyways, also another one of the Super Mario Kart tracks everybody hates, Vanilla Lake 2. Yay! Yeah, this is the precursor to Sherbet Land N64, and it is one of the shortest tracks in the game. This track is less than 50 seconds long. Here, take a look. Take one look. Yeah. This track takes 40 seconds to beat. 40 seconds! And, it's a circle. It's a circle with cracks beaten out. And also, there's these there's also, just a second, I'm waiting for the section where they pop up. There's this section where you could try to hop over the ice right there, which is really hard and not very easy to do, or you could just go through the off-road like that. Also, I think there's these ice blocks on the track. I swear there was, but... no, they didn't add the ice blocks. Yeah, so that was what's preventing it from being an F tier, because there's no ice blocks. So, yeah, congratulations, you're on D tier. Good job. And what is the other ice circle from Super Mario Kart? Vanilla Lake 2. Yeah. Flashbang, I'm sorry, but look at how white this is. Look at how white this is. That's a flashbang. I'm pretty sure if your computer struggles to output how much light is in the off-road and just the outside sections, because it is so white. No, I'm not racist. Yeah, it's a circle on ice, but you can't fall off, I guess. It gets really thin, it's small, it takes about 40 seconds to beat, there's pipes in the track, the off-road's really annoying, and there's a little puddles and there's little lakes. That is it. Very boring, very short circle. Anyways, DS Bowser's Castle. Yeah, the DS... Yeah, the two last tracks in DS were pretty, how do I put this? Not well treated. That's all I'll say. Now, this track was built for being in a 3D racing game. Now, it did have limitations, but it was built for a 3D racing game, not a 2D one. So, yeah, when I first played this, since I played this game before I played Mario Kart DS, I just thought this was a ripoff of N64 Bowser's Castle, with the moving thwomps, the ominous music, and that one loop part that's really hard. Then you go up these chicanes, I guess. There's a cannon, and there's the original really benefited from moving parts. This track's whole gimmick in DS was moving parts, but this game was more built for conveyor belts than rolling pillars and moving thwomps, if you know what I'm talking about. This section right here, yeah, you could just get caught in the wall. There's the split path, it's really annoying. There's these thwomps. And then there's this one extremely thin loop. And then you go on the barrel. You see how thin that is? Then you go on the barrel. Yeah, it's worse than DS because it doesn't flip. And also, yeah, it just pushes you one direction. So it's more boring. It's easier to fall off, I guess. And also this part was kind of, also there's supposed to be a wall right there and right there. But, he didn't realize, whoever developed it didn't realize that. No, I've been kind of throwing a couple of jabs at him. But he made a really good racing game. But, yeah, this part was supposed to be a wall, and he didn't know that, so now it's just, a part of the chain link that connects them two, so. Then you go back here, a couple more chicanes, and then you go back. This track was not meant to be flat, and it really shows in its design. It's also, I'm pretty sure it's thinner than the original. Quote me if I'm wrong on that, but yeah, it was not built to be flat. That's because it's a decent track in the original. It's just not meant to be flat. That's all I could say. Anyways, ending off D tier, we have Bowser Castle 1, SNES. Okay, starting off, it's thinner. Okay, it's thinner than the original. The walls are removed. And there's a boost panel, and there's little bulging out sections, and there's jumps that you can't trick off of, because most of the time you can't trick off of because you land in the lava. That's all I can say about this track. It's really boring, because it's essentially a box. Anyways, these next two tiers are going to be really long because a lot of these tracks just fit into them pretty well. So, anyways, in C tier, we got Coming Higher. Alright, at the bottom of C tier, we got the most infamous circle track in the entire series. Just a second. Sorry, it doesn't like to load. Cuba Beach 1. One look at the minimap. That's a circle, isn't it? Yes, beach, circle with other path, I guess. And water is choppy. That is most I could say about this track. Now we have beach track, but now we have square beach track. Shy Guy Beach. This is the lowest Super Circuit track, and meaning that Super Circuit has the best worst track in this game. Makes no sense, but I'll roll with it. Anyways, yeah. It's just a square with some split sections, and this one section, and one section of islands that's very not fun to navigate through. That's it. Yeah, these tracks are gonna be shorter. Okay, yeah. So Mario Circuit 4, just Mario Circuit 3, but mirrored and thinner. Yeah, it suffers from the Super Mario Kart tracks being thinner than the original, which was probably accidental, but still. You could kind of mushroom boost through here, but there's a sharp turn right here. It's really sharp. Depending on your angle, you could drift it normally, or you could let go of the gas button to drift in place. And then you could go over here. There's this really thin section, and then there's this bump right here before you go back to the finish, and you could take a shortcut right there. The files don't want to work for some reason, so yeah. Anyways, Mario Circuit 3. Yeah. Take everything I said about Mario Circuit 4, but essentially mirror it, remove the thin sections, make this turn sharper, and add a boost panel right here. That's all I have to say about Mario Circuit 3. Also, it's the first track it was actually the first track designed for Super Mario Kart. That's something notable, at least. Anyways, Choco Island 1, the better chocolate track, and yeah, still just not great. It's pretty boring. There's a couple of chicanes, there's a lot of bumps, and there's some off-road sections. That's all I have to say about this track. Ghost Valley 3. Really hard and challenging. There's a lot of chicanes, like right here, and right here. But the real annoying part is right about here, where you see there's a lot of these holes right here, and you have to be really careful to jump over them and then not fall off the gap right here. It's pretty difficult and lowers this track by a little bit. Also, you can't do the shortcut right there, which is a bummer, but still alright, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, the second last Super Circuit course, Yoshi Desert. Okay, so wait, is this? Yeah, imagine Mario Circuit 4, but it's a desert. There's a Yoshi Sphinx. The music's pretty good, but I couldn't figure out how to get the music to play. There's a lot more chicanes. You're constantly turning in this course. There's some oases, but the real killer here is right here. This section, you need to use these boost panels to jump over this wall, and there is very little jump right here. In the original, this is just something you could just drive over casually, but now it's a wall. See how I slammed my face against that? Yeah, that's a wall. It's not great. Not great. Take a couple more turns. You could jump over the off-road. This track has a lot of jumps, like right there. I prefer not to take them because they send you off-road. And then you could, and then there's this cut through the water you could take, and then you're back to the finish. It's a pretty boring desert track, one of the most forgettable in the series. It gets overshadowed by almost every desert track in this game. Anyways, yeah, Yoshi Falls is shorter than some Super Mario Kart tracks in this game. It's an oval with a little bump on the side, waterfalls, and boost panels. That's all I could say. Also, there's a Yoshi egg in the middle, but you can't really see it that well unless you're looking at the mini-map. Anyways, the track that starts off the DS selection in this game, Figure 8 Circuit. It's an 8 with no obstacles. Yikes, man, just yikes. There's nothing I could say about it. It is good to practice reverse drifting, but that is it. So, yeah, it's very boring. Anyways, next up, we got the first track in the entire game, Mario Circuit 1. What do you want me to say here? It's the first track in the series. I guess it's unique. Nice music, I guess, but you can say that about almost every other circuit track in the game. Almost every other track in the game, just in general. There's this big off-road shortcut right here, and that's it. There's not a lot to say about it, like Figure 8 Circuit. But it has one up, but the pipes are interesting, and there's an off-road shortcut, so it's better. Anyways, Cheep Cheep Beach. I always forget this one exists in this game, just because people never pick this online. Like, never. There's this bridge that looks like you should fall off of it, but there's walls on the side, so it's faithful to the original. Then there's this jump. There's a turn right here, I guess. So there's another jump. There's this off-road section through the water. You have to jump off these islands. There's a couple of thin sections. Then you go through this jungle. And then chicane, and then you're back. It's forgettable beach course. Sorry. Cheap beach enjoyers. Anyways, Donut Plains 1. Really living up to that plane name, as it is really simple. There's wide looping turns. There is this bridge that is completely surrounded by walls, so you don't fall off into the water. And there's this one shortcut right here, which is kind of cool. Then there is this one kind of turn that's kind of, oh shoot. This is one turn right here that's kind of sharp, but not really. Second track in the game, not a lot to expect. It's a boring grass track from Super Mario Kart, not much you could say. Anyways, yeah, I also forget this one exists because nobody picks it online either. And there's a lot better desert tracks in the game. Desert Hills, in fact. Yeah, I constantly forget that this is in the game. There's this big lake. It's themed after Super Mario Bros. 3, and there's long winding turns. There's a shortcut right here through the off-road, but there's no hills, so they made it worse. And, well, it's because it's not a 3D game. There's pokies. There's on this extremely long straight, and that's mostly it. It's very boring. It's a boring desert track. Cheeseland Grumman. Okay, sorry. Yeah, Cheeseland. Yay. It's made of cheese. Yeah. I didn't know that these yellow sections weren't off-road. It's really hard to tell when you're first playing this track what's off-road and what's not. And also, there's multiple of those towers. Something you notice in the GBA tracks is that there is, judging by my calculations, there could be 6 of those towers at once, which I find just funny, I guess. But the main issue here is that these jumps, send you off-road most of the time if you check off of them. Like, you have to do some precise maneuvering to not fall off-road. That's its only issue. The rest of the track's pretty boring and forgettable, so yeah, that's Cheeseland for you. DK Pass. It's a, mountain track. Assuming it's cold. This probably is. There's winding turns, not a lot of straights. Like, there's 1, 2, 3 straights, which is good, I guess. But turns just aren't that interesting, and, yeah, it's just an uninteresting, ice track. It's nothing to note, and there's a couple of snow boulders. Anyways, DS Mario Circuit, second to last cup of the game, pretty bizarre, but, yeah. It's pretty, uninteresting up until... Okay, so there's these fire piranha plants that spit fire at you, which is kind of cool. Then, unlike most tracks, Mario circuit tracks, there's change of theming, where you go from circuit to dirt. So that's interesting. You jump over the previous part of the track like Mario Circuit 2. There's this multiple chicanes with piranha plants on the dirt. And then you have the Mario Circuit 3 and Mario Circuit 4. What's it called? It turns right back to back, which is not really fun to navigate, I guess. It's also really thin, and it's forgettable because it's a circuit track, and this game is like 10 of them. I like the photo of Mario getting drenched in snow, but anyway, Snowland! Yay, it's the most annoying music. That's like annoying Christmas music. The track is blue. It used to shake up and down in the original, but now it doesn't. It didn't really bother me in the original, but it did bother a lot of other people, so I think it's a good idea they removed it in this version. But anyways, there's a couple of split paths. Like, there's this section right here where you could go off-road for a little bit, then go into this split section where you take, like, 5 boosts in a row, then boost out. It benefits more from Super Circuit's boosting system, where you could go even faster the more boosts you hit. There's like a top speed for boosts in this game, which is kind of sad. Also, there's these ice sections that you could go through with mushrooms, and that's mostly it. It's pretty boring, I guess. I know I'm saying that a lot about a lot of tracks, but it's just not that interesting. Next section. Anyways, we got B, which is bringing some bangers. So yeah. Anyways, we got Delfino Square. I was talking about this one earlier because it pulls off the Bowser Castle 2 box successfully. Yes, even though it's thin and surrounded by walls, it still pulled it off. I'm not the hugest fan of the music here, but you could listen to it if you want. There's this first section, there's no, sadly, there's no Pianta fountain. It's just a pool of water that's walled off, which is kind of sad. They take a turn around here. There's a lot of these fall trees. Then there's a couple of chicanes. This is really thin. Like that, you could realistically maybe fit 2 people next to each other, but most likely there's only going to be 1. And then there's the split path. So it pulls it off pretty successfully, in my opinion. Even though that one does have both fit. They both fit. Both have the same amount of turns, which makes it fit well and makes it actually successful and just being actually feeling nice to control and splits it off pretty nicely. And then there's this section where there's there's a couple of crates. There's this really thin section right here of off-road, and then you end off with this bridge, and then and see a couple of trees, and there's this off-road section that you could shroom through. That's mostly it. Yeah, good track. Anyways, Ribbon Road. Okay, so this track is bright. It's present themed. Sorry, I was just wondering who that was. And then this track is unique, because in Super Circuit they're experimenting over boosting over previous parts of the track. And in this, you boost over one part of the track, and then you boost over the part that you land back on, like almost immediately. Like, they're so close to each other, I feel like it's pretty well implemented. It feels really nice. There's this little bar in the middle that you could get tricks off of, which is really cool. And then you take this, there's a couple of more boosts. There's quite a lot of boosts. And then you go back, and then there's nothing more notable after that, but it's just a couple of turns, but it's still a pretty decent track. It's not horrible. Not bad. Pretty good. Anyways, the only Ghost Valley track to be brought back in Mario Kart game that isn't Tour or Super Circuit, and not including this game, Ghost Valley 2. It's pretty short still. It's thinner, but I think that's a little to its benefit. One thing that's really sad is that the Ghost Valleys are the bricks that you could break off on the side and then fall off later. I thought that was really funny and pretty creative. That's why I don't like Banshee Boardwalk as much. Well, because the 90-degree turns don't feel well. They're thinner. That's a couple other things. But one of the main ones is that the bricks don't break and fall off, which is really sad. There's a lot of turns in this track. Quite a bit of turns. A lot of chicanes. One of the more complex Super Mario Kart tracks, and there's this boost and ramp, which is cool, I guess. And yeah, the track's over. Short, but pretty nice. One of the shortest track in the game, though, because 16 seconds for a lap is bafflingly short. GP Island. It's an interesting breach course. There's this one shortcut in the original where you could boost and cut off this gigantic section, but you can't do it in this version because it just wasn't built for that. And also it's a pretty similar to a box. There's a couple of split sections right here, and right here, and right here, but it's an alright track. It's pretty good, but it's just a little too simplistic for its own good. Especially being in one of the best cups in the game, mind you. Anyways, about half the tracks in this game got beat out by a beginner circuit course. The circuit courses in Mario Kart Super Circuit were done pretty well and were good. Were pretty well fitted for this game. With their turns, there are lots of turns. They have lots of turns. There's a couple of straights, but they have lots of turns. Decently sharp ones that you could realistically drift around. And there's this section that you could boost through with a mushroom. It's just a nice beginner friendly track with some fun turns to drift around. I have the same thing to say about Mario Circuit in this game, except for there's a pit stop with the boost panel. That's all I have to say. Probably a short segment in the video, but yeah, that's just because it's just not that interesting. Anyways, a grass track. Oh, technically a gardens track, but it's mostly grass. So, Peach Gardens, yay! Yeah, I kind of messed up the beginning section of this one. That was my brain realizing, oh shit, yeah. So yeah, it's a box. It's pretty robotic, I would say. Now you don't go through this section, you just go through here, but that's still like really dang close to a box. But it does have a lot of split sections, and the grass is really dang punishing. There's this beginning section where you go on this like marble bridge thingy, and there's a chain chomp roaming around, and then you can either go the wide route and get a better drift boost, or take the thin route and get a worse one, but you're probably going to take the thinner one, realistically. There's this turn you can boost through. It's Flower Patch. And there's these turns. They just aren't my favorite because there isn't a lot of room for mistakes here. Because these boxes of flowers right here and right here just aren't that fun to move through. Then there's this section with a lot of boxes you have to weave through. It's kind of like Bowser Castle 2, but it's not necessarily like it, so it's fine here. Another section with the flower patches. And then there's a cute little peace sign where you could go on the edge and get double items, or go in the middle and get one item. It's cool. There's this weaving section similar to Donut Plains with moles that you have to weave through and chicane, which is like Donut Plains, but just better. But yeah, that's it. And then you go next to the castle, and then you go back to the start, and that's it. It's a good track. Good track. It's a fun track, just a couple of frustrating parts. Ah, yes, the original final track of the series. SNS Rainbow Road, pretty short. Yeah, it's pretty short, like most of the other ones. Yeah, you could this is a track where you can really tell how much more smaller the SNS tracks are. Because in the original, your character would take up one of these boxes. You see these like boxes on the road? Your character would take up one of them. Now, if you look at little Italy Ball right there on his Vespa, that tire, one of these boxes only takes up half of your character. So yeah, your character takes up is 2 boxes wide instead of 1 in this version. Meaning that this track is literally half the length. It's literally half the length. Meaning it's thinner, and because this game has better controls, it's debatable if it's harder, but I'd probably say that the original is still harder. There's a couple of jumps here. It's amazing music still. There's this one extremely hard section though. Like, yeah, this section, it's 2 players long. Yeah, that's how thin it is. And then there's this boost there's this jump that you could boost over and then land on the other part of the track, or you have to split off. But that's mostly it, and then the track's over. There's a lot of straights, all 90-degree turns. It's alright. It's pretty good. It's pretty good, but it's worse than the original. Also, it's not the final track in the game anymore. Anyways, Broken Pier. This track has a lot of jumps. There's a couple of tracks in this game that are just jump, 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 jump back to back. This track does it one of the best in my opinion. Has turns. There's invisible bridges which are kind of hard, and there's these jumps that you could jumps that you could use to cut turns. Then this is one of the most overpowered shortcuts in the game. You could take a boost, then jump over here, then jump on that boost pad, then jump on that jump pad, and then skip this huge part of the track. Like you skip this whole section. Which you can also, there's another cut right there with a bridge, but it's not as overpowered, and it's really overpowered, and it's pretty easy to do. If you have a mushroom, there's a boost, there's a really thin bridge right there, or you can just take the outside one and be safe. There's a lot of jumps over these cracks in the pier, I guess. And yeah, there's a lot of turns, a lot of jumps, and it's pretty well executed. Pretty hard. Also, you can't break out the bricks on the side, so that's what makes it worse than the original. Actually, no, it's better than the original, but still. Anyways, Wario Stadium. Yes, Wario. Ooh. Okay, there's some nice turns to wind around. It is technically shorter than the original, but you don't really notice that much. There's a lot of jumps. There's a lot of jumps and a couple of turns, and there's this one really hard turn right here, but that's mostly it. It's pretty good. It's a stadium course, pretty good. Yeah, that's it. Mostly. There's fire bars that you have to dodge. A lot of fire they had to dodge, a lot of floating fire. I don't know how they did it, but anyways, GBA Bowser Castle 1. This is the lowest Bowser Castle, which is pretty dang good. I meant for GBA Bowser Castle at least. Yeah, 90-degree turns. It's essentially a box, but you could trick off of these sections without being too much punished. And there's walls, so it's faithful to the original. So yeah, it's alright. It's not the greatest track, but it's alright. It's pretty good. Anyways, SNES Bowser Castle 3. Its difficulty, I would say it's really hard. It's pretty hard, but it's decently. It feels more fair. It's a lot of thin sections, akin to a lot of other Super Mario Kart tracks. There's this section where it's like choose your own adventure. You could go like realistically almost anywhere on these paths, making it pretty fun to weave around. There's this one comically hard section though, where it's like you can only fit sorry, I keep cutting it. But anyways, where you could realistically only fit like 2 racers next to each other in this section, and it's right before boost panel. So yeah, it's not great. There's this section, there's walls here in the original, but now you can just take any path you want and then switch over to another one, which is kind of funny, but still, it's pretty good. Hard, but fair, and there's a lot of boost panels and jumps. So, anyways, this is the track where I realized he was British for the first time, because the cars drive on the wrong side of the road, because instead of driving on the right side of the road, they drive on the left side of the road. Yeah. Anyways, the traffic is a tad bit annoying in this, but they are but the turns are wide and winding, but if some good maneuvering, you could dodge them pretty well. It's a fun track, just the traffic is a little intrusive. But I think it's better with the traffic than without. It just could have been executed a little better since it's way thinner than the original. Airship Fortress. Oh boy. This is one of my favorite courses in DS. I can make the argument that's my favorite, because this is pretty good. But in this game, it's also pretty good, but there's a couple of sections that aren't as good as the original. So first off, there's this jump at the beginning that I did not know was a jump when I first played the track. There's another one right here. You get shot at with missiles right here, but the but there's a couple of Monty moles, but the real annoying section right here is since this part would originally go through here and then boost you out, instead he had to make a chicane, like back-to-back chicanes like this, and you almost always ram into a wall like that. It's almost guaranteed. Then there's these crates. That are stolen from Delfino Square. I'm pretty sure that's what these airships are from. They're pirates. But anyways, and there's a section with the fire bars, and then you take a big cannon jump, and then take a big cannon jump. Like, see that big boost panels? Yeah, pretty fun. Then, instead of making this like a whirl come out, since this is 2D, he just made it one singular turn, which I think was pretty good. And there's this part cut out, and then that's it. It's a good track. It's pretty fun. Amazing music, as usual, and just isn't as good as it used to be in 2D. Anyways, Lakeside Park. It's a park next to a lake. On the side of a lake. I mean, yeah, that's lakes. Yeah, the lakes. There's a volcano in the background, which is kind of cool. There's these wide turns that are winding. I feel like this game's controls were best fitted for Mario Kart Super Circuit tracks. Hence why Mario Kart DS and Super Mario Kart tracks are ranking lower than the Super Circuit tracks. It's why the lowest Super Circuit track is C tier, while the lowest Super Mario Kart and DS tracks are in F tier. So, yeah, this game... Yo! Alright. Sorry. Yeah? Sorry. There's a couple of sharp turns that are a little annoying, but there's moles that weren't there in the original, which is kind of funky. But also, one thing to note, if you boost through this, you skip a checkpoint and don't get your lap counted, which I think is kind of BS, because, like, come on, you don't count as a whole, so, like, why? But I'm not gonna rage over that much. Then you could jump over this part to get a little item box. There's a couple of more turns right here. There's a lot of chicane turns, and then there's this straight right here. There's a boost over a previous part of the track where you could jump accidentally. Where is it again? Where if you don't take this turn correctly, you could jump off this and go into the previous part of the track. But I like to just use it to get extra boosts, which is something a kid is, yeah. Anyways, you go back here, and then you're back, and there's another section like that right there, but yeah. You see how I just drifted onto the side of it, and then jumped and tricked? Yeah. Anyways, that's the end of the track. It's a fun track. It's an interesting, unique, fun track. It's a jungle track, one of the 2 jungle tracks in the game, and they are really good. Anyways, Blue Lake. Yeah, another one of the ghost tracks from Super Circuit. Really good. Okay, so there's this section right here. Oh, so yeah, there's 2 mansions. Cause fuck you, that's why. But anyways, there's this first section where you boost over empty gaps, which is really cool. Then you take this turn. There's a split section right here. If you use them, you don't even need a mushroom. You could just jump over it without, and with some good time drifts, which I think is really cool. Risk reward. And then you can take this section. You can pretty easily get caught on these walls since they're blocks. So there's a spotlight right there. I don't know why that's there. You could take this shortcut in the bridge, which is thinner, but you could take the outside route, which is safer, but isn't as fast. There's a lot of boosts near the end, which are fun to trick off of, like right there, and these sections right here, which is really cool track. There's a lot of straights, which lowers it a little bit, but still pretty good. GBA Bowser Castle 2. This track really heavily depends on how good the air physics are in this game. That's why it's not the greatest in Mario Kart DS, because once you go off a ramp, you lock like you were a brick being thrown. Like your direction just locks. That's why it's Choco Island 2 is not good. It's in DS, and that's why this track isn't good in DS. Stop. Not trash talking DS. Back to something else. We have a lot of turns and chicanes here. Like this, there's a lot of these like chicanes that you could just go straight through. And this track just has a lot of these jumps. Later on in the track, though, there's this section, the chain link, where there's multiple jumps where you can trick off of them. You have a lot of air control, so it's really good here. It feels really nice to trick off of as many as possible, but you gotta be careful, otherwise you're gonna fall in the lava, making this a pretty good track. So yeah, it's uses jump panels really well. Anyways, tick tock clock. Yeah, this track has a significantly different layout than the original. Because the original is like an 8 shape, while this one is more of a box. And that's because these gears go under this clock in the original. And you can't really do that without just removing the gears entirely and making this a boring figure 8 track, like a couple other tracks in this game. So I think by just making one of the turns go a different way was the best way to execute this track. These 90-degree turns actually feel pretty well. There's this clock where you have to avoid these pendulum thingies, like the arrows on the clock. And there's a boost panels, and there's a couple of these there's what I was talking about, the pendulums that swing back to back. There's gears right here that spin you back and forth and back and forth. You could easily fall off on there. There's a chicane, another clock section, then you're back to the finish. Really cool track that works with this game's moving parts better than DS Bowser's Castle. Anyways, Bowser Castle 4. My favorite Bowser's Castle that hasn't been remade in a mainline Mario Kart game, Bowser Castle 4. And that's a bummer, because this track's amazing, especially in this game. It's challenging. There's thwomps, first off. Then there's a section that's reminiscent of DS Peach Gardens. But they're holes now, so now you have to look carefully to avoid them. There's so much to mention here. There's lots of 90-degree turns that fit really well. There's this really thin section that you boost over later in the track, which is cool. There's these boosts right here on the side, but it's a little more dangerous in Mario Kart Super Circuit, because when you do it there, you could ram into the wall, but you don't really right here, because the boosting mechanics are different. Anyways, then there's a couple more straights, and then there's this section where it's kind of like Bowser Castle 3, but a little ramp down. Choose your own adventure, like choose a different path. You can realistically choose either, but I think this path's faster, but I don't know. And then you boost over a previous part of the track, and then there's a lot of more enemies right here before you take a chicane and go back to the finish. It's a really fun and interesting track that's really engaging. It's only beat out by the highest ranking Bowser Castle in this game, Bowser Castle 3 GBA. Oh boy. This track is blue and red. Those are two of my favorite colors already. And it is really good theming, because the background is like outside of the castle. Like you're surrounded by the castle instead of being inside the castle, if you know what I mean. So the track is a little less complicated than 4, but still pretty dang good in my opinion. Okay, so there's a lot of straight sections, and a lot of chain link, but then there's this boost, then there's these jumps that like curve, and then there's this sharp 90-degree. Though these jumps you could realistically trick off of, like I'm doing right here. You just need a little bit of skill to do it correctly, then you're good. There's a lot of straights, and this another one of the Bowser trademark GBA Bowser Castles things where it's like back and forth boxes, but like I like it looks like a chicane, but you could just drive straight through it. But anyways, it's a cool track with good theming. I just used up all my words on Bowser Castle 4. So yeah, anyways, we are into the next section, which is anyways, in A tier, we have Amazing, which are tracks that are amazing. So, yeah. The best ghost track in the game, Ghost Valley Uno. Yeah, so Super Mario Kart track rating this high, well, you're gonna be baffled by how many more, because there's a couple more up here. So this track is a lot of 90-degree turns. It is a little similar to a box, but these chicanes make it pretty interesting. There's a jump right here. There's a lot of jumps. There's mind you, a lot of jumps. I'm pretty sure if you use a mushroom, you may be able to boost up onto the the like loose bridge right there that you used to be able to take with a feather. I did do it in the original the original Super Mario Kart with a mushroom. I don't think you can do it here because it's too big. It is extremely short. You see, I tried to do it right there. I just tried to hop. But anyways, the track is extremely short, but it makes up for that by being extremely fun. So yeah. But the track is literally 20 seconds long. So I mean, there's not much to know about it. So yeah, good track. Really good track. Oh boy. Yeah, a lot of people, this track's kind of controversial in a couple of ways. First off, they can't remove the obstacles, like the Shy Guys and the tents. Also, this track doesn't use the sunset, even though the game is fully capable of having, like, a decent good sunset. Honestly, I have a hot take here. Even though people really don't like when the Sunset Wilds doesn't have the sunset, it is mildly unrealistic because you could just sit there in one lap and it'll stay day for like, it can stay day for like 1 year if you charge your Game Boy Advance or you just try to keep it on. Yeah, it's not that realistic, so I think just keeping it at sunset was fine. But there is like 5 suns, which is not great. But anyways, oh yeah, the sun just died now. Anyways, this track has a lot of unwinding turns. It's really amazing. These turns are really good. My only minor gripes with this track is these mud sections that you need to like try to skip, but that's mostly it. Otherwise, it's a good track. Otherwise, it's a really amazing desert track, and also, it's like it looks like Arizona, so bias initiated. But anyways, yeah, good track. The other jungle track in the game, Riverside Park. It's really good. Whining. I think it is next to a river, even though it's kind of realistic how that one part of the river goes around and then connects back to it, is that possible? Like, is that possible for it naturally be that way? It could be man-made, you know? It could be man-made. I mean, who else would put these freaking rainbow, these colored bricks next to the track? Those definitely don't generate naturally. But anyways, it has winding turns, like most of Super Circuit tracks. Couple of fun jumps and a big jump over at the end over a previous part of the track, making it really good. It summarizes a lot of what makes Super Circuit tracks good in this game: the theming, the songs, and the turns and jumps. Ooh, Waluigi pinball. Oh boy. Now this is 5th place, so I don't think people are gonna be that happy that I ranked this 5th place. I mean, I think that's alright. 5th out of 56 is really dang good. It is thinner than the original, but I feel like there is an argument that this is better than the original, though, because the turns in the original did not fit DS's drifting system that well. So that's why I don't think it's the best track in that game. But in this game, oh boy, the drifting is more similar to Mario Kart 8 or 7, making it way better for these turns. Like these turns right here are amazing to drift around. You jump over this hole, then you jump over this. A bit of it did get snipped off because you can't get this much overlap in a 2D track. But then you go back on the pinball table and there's bumpers and the music is also amazing, mine. And there's these spinning bumpers and there's items on the side. And you go back and then there's this 2 turns back up. Really amazing track with amazing theming. It's just a little too thin. It's just a little too thin. But anyways, we have finally entered the S tier, which is supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. I don't know why I put that there, but I just thought it was funny. So, these are the 4 best tracks in the game and have nearly no issues. Mario Circuit 2, oh boy, people are not gonna be, this is the highest ranking Super Mario Kart track. Fun. Yeah, so, according to the top rankings, after this, the 3 best tracks in the game are Super Circuit tracks, which I think is pretty funny. That Super Circuit just blows the selection for Super Mario Kart and DS out of the water with its selections. I don't know, with its tracks, because they fit this game way better. But anyways, this track's still really good. It is short, akin to Super Mario Kart, but it has the turns that are similar to Super Circuit, which fit well. Like these winding turns that fit kind of well. They aren't as good as Super Circuit, but they're still pretty good. There's oil puddles that most of the people that don't fall into that often. There's this big jump over the previous part of the track. First track in the game that does something like this, and I think it executes it beautifully. It does so well. And the dopamine from that just makes it go so high. And the rest of the track's really engaging too. So yeah, the track, it just fits pretty well with the game. It's just a little too short. In 3rd place, we got Sky Garden. Yep. Sky Garden. It is genuinely probably some of the best theming in the game. Like, you're racing on clouds. That is pretty good. It has these turns that fit. It's not necessarily the Super Circuit style, the big winding turns. I mean, there is one right there, but most of these are more than 90-degree turns, similar to other tracks. There's a lot of shortcuts you could take on the clouds, which is amazing. Like, it's off-road, then you could just fall off, which is kind of cool. This track has it's really good music and theming. And then there's this jump right here. You can take a boost and jump over it. Then there's these vine bridges, which are really cool. And then, yeah. And then there's these there's these color blocks, which just make it feel, which does ruin the theming a bit, but still really good. One of the best sections of the track, one of those Luigi circuit turns. You're going to understand what I mean by Luigi circuit turns later. Because, yeah, but there's a lot of chicanes on this track, and it's just really fun, though. It's genuinely feels amazing. And there's then there's this jump at the end, which is kind of cool. It's not risky, but it's cool. And it's in 3rd place. In 2nd place, we got Luigi Circuit. Yes, one of the best circuit track in the game. Circuit track in 2nd place. You did not expect this, did you? But this track is heavily carried by turns. There's no boosts, there's no jumps. The theming is just rain. And the rain isn't even as distinguished in the original. But the drifting in this game was perfectly built for these long, winding turns. Like, see these? These winding turns are so amazing. I don't know why these winding turns that are a combination like kind of between thin and sharp just feel amazing. Like that first turn just perfectly encapsulates what makes this track so amazing. There's a couple of water puddles too, but that doesn't matter because this track is just so amazing. It carries itself not off of theming, not off of anything except for its turns, which I think is a really good. But in first place, we got GBA Rainbow Road. And the thing is, like, this is kind of a demake from the original, because the jumps on, you can't use the jumps on the side. Instead you just fall off. You can't use them as jump pads. You just fall off, which I don't think the jump pad system in this game would really fit. So I think that's why they removed it. But still, this game is still amazing even without the jump pads. These widening turns. There's the lumps instead of the stars, which is a little bit of a bummer. A lot of the obstacles were removed in the Super Circuit tracks. And then there's this turn that you could cut over, which is just so fun to do. It's not even like that much of a speed boost. It's just really fun. And then there's these two winding turns, reminiscent of Luigi Circuit and Sky Garden, which are really fun. And then right here, you could jump over here. You could bunny hop over it. It's challenging, but not challenging to the point where you just want to slam your Chromebook into your window or your wall, I guess. You take multiple boosts, you try not to fall off, then you navigate through here, and then you get these jumps right here, which feel amazing. Then you turn back here, there's this big section of boost panels if you want to take, if you're daring enough to do it. It's the best music is some of the best music in the game too. It is just genuinely amazing. But anyways, yeah, that's the end of the video. Like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, I want there to be lots of comments on this video because I like seeing your engagement and any ideas for newer videos. If you enjoy, please subscribe. I'm trying to get to 20 subscribers by the end of 2025. So anyways, have a nice day, and I have nothing else to say. Yeah.